Over the last year, a lot has changed with Xtend crop herbicide labels. So today we wanted to talk just a little bit about exactly what's changed and how you can get the best success on your farm without causing damage to any of your neighbor's crops.
Well, the easy way out, Brian, is just don't spray dicamba. And that's what we hear from farmers. Oh, I'm not going to spray dicamba. But guess what? The weeds don't care. They're going to keep coming, and you may need to use the dicamba. So we want you to be really comfortable with that. And here are some guidelines so you don't have any problems.
First of all, only restricted use applicators or private pesticide applicators, commercial pesticide applicators, those are the ones who can apply these products. They have to go through a certain amount of training, and it was interesting, just a couple days ago I got a question from an agronomist, and he said, well, how about all the old dicambas, and let's say you're spraying pasture or around your yard, do you have to have special training for that? And I said, no, you just have to have your same private pesticide applicator's license, or we would often call it a restricted use license, to apply those things, and then you're fine. But you don't have to go through the special dicamba training. He said, well, why not? I said, well, the only reason why is because these new crops, the Xtend crops, in order to get labeling of the herbicides on those crops, they require the new herbicides to have this special licensing review. And actually the products got labeled for 2 years in the beginning. Well, last year it expired, so now they're getting labeled again for probably another couple of years. It's just crazy. I just don't understand how the old 2,4-D and the old dicamba, you can go spray those with just a basic license. You don't have to have all this extra training that you do for the new dicamba products that have less volatility and less drift.
Well, the other thing, Brian, is the new dicamba products have labels that seem to be continuously updated. So it may change on a week-to-week basis as new products are added on for tank mix partners and so forth. So make sure that you're checking the websites for each of these products and printing out a new label, because you have to have a new label with you when you're out in the field applying those products.
And we're talking about XtendiMax, Ingenia, and Fexapan. All right, real quick, here are some of the things that changed this year on those labels. Over-the-top application of dicamba on soybeans, 45 days after planting, that's the cutoff, 60 days after planting on cotton. Now, that's the federal label. Your state may be labeled different. For cotton, over-the-top applications are cut from 4 down to 2. Soybeans, you can still spray twice. Applications will be allowed only from 1 hour after sunrise to 2 hours before sunset. Darren, why don't you explain why that is?
This is a big thing because air inversions have been a problem. And as you get towards the evening hours, you've got that hot sun that's been beating down on the ground and heating things up. So you've got that layer of warm air down on the ground. And when you get into evening, well, what happens? That sun is not out anymore, and all of a sudden you've got this warm air that's trying to rise, and you can get an air inversion going on where if you sprayed products just before this air inversion started or as the air inversion got going, you could have product actually pick up and move. And you see,
well, wait, that has nothing to do with the inversion, though. The product can always pick up and move. What the inversion does is it doesn't allow it to go 10,000 feet up in the air. It only goes to where the air temperature changes, maybe 50 or 100 feet above the ground. Well, if you have any hills at all, then all of a sudden it goes right into somebody's hillside, and then you have an issue.
So air inversions are a big deal. So if you can avoid those evening hours and early morning hours, you can really avoid most of the air inversions. That's great. But when you think about it as a farmer, when are we trying to spray dicamba? We're trying to look for those times where the air isn't moving very much. That's why we want just a tiny little bit of wind, because if we've got just a little bit of wind, we know we don't have an air inversion.
All right, just a few last things. If there are endangered species in your county, in addition to the 110-foot downwind buffer, you may have a 57-foot buffer around the other sides of your field, so make sure you're checking in your county on that. Also, there's continued emphasis on good tank clean out, which there really should have been in the beginning. And then finally, there's a lot more talk about low pH water and what that can do to increasing volatility of dicamba. So last year, there was a lot of discussion about don't use ammonium sulfate. Well, really, you're not supposed to use anything that's going to dramatically lower the pH of the water, because then you have more volatility with dicamba.
The biggest thing here, there are a lot of label restrictions that you're going to have, which is great, and they're all very protective for you as the farmer and also for the neighbor. Also use some common sense. If you've got wind blowing away from your neighbor's crop for the day of spraying and the next day, your odds of having a problem are very slim. One of the reasons you may want to use dicamba on your farm is to control our weight of the week. We'll show you what it is coming up next.